Mrs. Danielle DeVita back with another video. I overheard someone say that marriage is overrated. A lot of women say, I like the strong silent type. Well, a lot of men like the feminine silent type. And for sure, it's going down. So a lot of times people are not getting the value. When to speak and when to be quiet is one of the most powerful. She's going to be aggressive, thinking that. And as someone who's been married for 12 years, she's driven, not lazy. And this will make yourself and get on the right path. That understand that you might be doing a disservice to your daughter if you don't help her understand vetting and proper decision making. Now she's going to be a basket case later. If you don't help her understand emotional intelligence, she's going to hold on to a lot of emotional baggage. If you don't. We live in a world where femininity, marriages, family, and courting is no longer valued. We live in hookup culture, situationships, and struggle love. The number one reason women struggle in long-term relationships, number one, femininity, and number two, staying in a relationship or entertaining people longer than the woman should. My name is Danielle DeVita, and I'm a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 12 years, and I want to help you get on your feminine journey and vet for the right man today. For more of my content, you can visit MrsDanielleDeVita.com, or you can go to YouTube, Instagram, or my Facebook page. Get on your feminine journey today. All right, welcome. We are live. So thank you so much for tuning in to Mrs. Danielle DeVita. If this is your first time and you're liking the content that you'll be listening to, please hit the subscribe button. If you are returning and you've heard my content before and you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. If you're on Instagram, you can follow me. If you're on Facebook, you can follow me, and you can subscribe on YouTube. If you see me on two different cameras, it is because if you see my eyes shifting, it's because I have two different cameras. So I appreciate you while I go through both of these cameras, kind of shifting my eyes here and there. So again, if this is your first time, let me tell you a little bit about me. I am a relationship and femininity coach, and my goal is to help you find the person that you deserve. And to do that, my goal is to help women to become feminine and let guys know it's okay to be masculine and exhibit those qualities. So we don't believe in toxic masculinity here. And number two is making sure that you're not in a relationship longer than you need to be in. And to do that, you would have to make sure that you follow to make sure there's no red flags, making sure that you're properly vetting. And I have a series of videos where I talk about vetting. First, I'll let you know a little bit about for women, vetting would be first, you making sure that the person that you're with, everything he says and does is within love. So sometimes people, may tell you the truth. Sometimes people may be honest with their feelings, but you want to make sure that he does this in love, which means he's showing that he at least still cares about your feelings. Because people, typically men who don't care, they're going to be very brutal and harsh to you, not considering your feelings in many cases. The other thing is, so that's L. So first, this man leads. So L is love. E is he elevates you, not treat you like gum at the bottom of his shoe. A, inspired for greatness. D, dedicated to the things and the people who he says he loves. All right. And S, he serves his community through his gifts, talents, and expertise. He's careful of who he creates children with. And this is a man who believes in family and marriage. If you are a man and you're listening to this, you would just make this vice versa, except instead of love, her version of love, or for you, it would be respect. So her showing that she loves you is a form of respect. She's respecting you. Everything she says and does is out of respect. She elevates and supports you. Right? She's also aspiring for greatness, not just trying to take your money or to get something out of you. She's dedicated to the things and the people who she says she loves. And she serves her community with her gifts and expertise, right? She's not just making babies with anyone. She believes in a legacy. So this is what it takes for vetting. And today, the topic that we're going to talk about is what's the procedure? If you have not heard this term before. It came from, well, the term itself, this particular term came from a movie in Set It Off, where Vivica Fox played a teller at the very beginning of the movie, and she was asked a simple question: what's the procedure? And the procedure is, whenever there's a situation going on in the bank, you would hit a certain button and it will alert the police, right? Well, we have these things in real life. We have what we call fire drills. We have a procedure that you follow to make sure, in case when there's a hurricane, when there's disasters and things like that, you follow business continuity. And there's a procedure that you follow when you're not in those incidents. So you learn it whenever there's no issue, no fire, no emergency, no disaster. And as you continue to follow these things, when the time comes, you know what to do. So when she was asked that question, what's the procedure? Yes, you're scared. Yes, there's going to be someone coming into the bank and holding a gun at you. But what is it that you need to do? What is it that you're supposed to do? And this is something that we should also follow in relationships. A lot of times we wait until we're married to decide we want to be a wife. We wait until, we are husband to want to play husband role. So we're going to talk a little bit more about it. I'm going to play a short video for you to kick it off, because I know you guys like videos. So my goal is to help find real life or similar to real life situations to help you get a better understanding of the real world. Of course, we can't see what other people do behind closed doors, but I want to give you a reality check, because a lot of times we are in situations and we wait till everything hits the fan to want to, oh, now I want to be feminine, now I want to be masculine. But no. Follow these steps even when you're single, even prior to marriage, even when you're married. Keep doing these steps so it can become habit. So when the time comes, you know how to handle situations without letting your emotions get the best of you. All right, so I'm going to play this quick video. If you see on the screen, if you're on Instagram, you won't be able to see, but I have a phone number that you can call, which is 813-816-1813. You can also click the link to get on the StreamYard if you want to be on video. If you are on Instagram, you won't use the StreamYard link, but you will use a link that's on Instagram, a video link. So let me see here. Greetings to you, Mildly Savage Digital. I appreciate you being a loyal viewer. All right, let me play this video really quick so we can kick it off a little bit more. Let's see. Okay, here it is. If you're on Instagram, you can only see, but you cannot. You can only hear, but you can't see.
Why good men don't marry girlfriends.
I would be doing more of those things.
So what you're saying is, I have to marry you, make you my wife, in order for you to start doing wife things.
I'm just a girlfriend.
Okay. Okay. Shatrika, do you want to marry me?
Yes.
Why?
Because you a provider, a protector, you watch out for me, I love you. Why would I not want to marry you?
I appreciate that, and I love you too. So what you're saying to me is, those are the things you want your husband to do.
Yes.
So you see your husband in me.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So the things I'm doing right now, even though I'm not your husband, you want your husband to do. And the crazy thing is, that's just who I am. Not because this is what I feel like I have to do. I do it because that's who Jeremy is. I'm already a husband. I'm just not your husband yet.
All right. So, I heard someone once say, you should practice like you play. And growing up, I did sports. And if you are an athlete yourself, or you've been an athlete, you probably heard that term as well, or that phrase, practice how you play. So we don't want to go soft and take it easy, but we want to pretend like this is the real deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we practice like it's the actual game, like it's game day. We play hard, right? And when you are in a relationship, if you want to be a wife, you're going to act as a wife. Now, remember, I just said act as a wife. I didn't say do all the things a wife does. So what I mean is you're not going to be washing clothes and folding people's clothes and fixing them dinner every night. Yeah, some of these things are a nice gesture to fix someone a meal, to do certain things. But this is not a habit. You're not a wife, so you're not going to do wifely duties when that person hasn't earned it, because then what's the point of them wanting to be a wife if they can get what they can get without having to put in the work? But you're going to act as a wife. A lot of times when people hear this phrase, they're like, well, I'm not a wife, so why do I do this? Okay, well, let's think about this. You're not a mother, but you still need to have the qualities of what it takes to be a mother, right? You want to make sure you already have a nurturing and a loving spirit. You want to be a good supportive person. Like if you see someone who is not nurturing, they don't seem like they seem very distant. They don't seem to have any level of intimacy, emotional intimacy. They lack that emotional availability. You would think they may not make a great mother, at least at this point in time in their life. They're not mature enough. So they're not exhibiting the qualities that you think that they should have as a mother. But someone who is loving, sweet, and kind, you'll be like, one day they'll make a great mother. Why? Because they're exhibiting the qualities already. Although they're not running around changing people's, children's diapers, now they have the qualities. And the same thing, if you've noticed, we expect men to automatically show leadership qualities, even though they're not a husband. We expect them to show up on the first date. We talked about this in the last video, with all the money in the world, just to prove that they can be a provider. We want them to show up and lead in all these kind of ways and have this money and that. And we want them to automatically show up and be ready. But we say, when I get the ring, then I'll be ready. No, that's not how it works. Yes, there are going to be some things that you prove as the relationship continues on, that if you are the one for them, they are going to say, hey, yeah, I want to make you the one. But they have to see the qualities in you. They can't say, well, let me just try to marry this person and maybe tomorrow, or after the marriage, they'll be more peaceful. They'll be more loving. They'll be more supportive. They'll be more respectful. That's not how it works. All right. So a lot of times we think that once we get the ring, we will be different. But don't you realize that your habits are not going to change overnight? If you've been disrespectful the whole time in a relationship, what's the likelihood that after you get the ring, now you're going to be more respectful? No. So my goal is to help you start now. So I'm one of these femininity channels. It's not going to tell you how to make sure your appearance, something in my little piece of lint. I'm sorry, it's annoying me. No one's going to, a lot of channels, a lot of femininity channels are going to tell you how you should look, how you should present yourself, what you should require, which is why you hear this whole hypergamy and how you have to have all this money and you need to look like you're classy, that's worth this kind of money, and be around this kind of high society. I'm not going to do that, because I believe that your femininity is you owning your womanhood. You exuding feminine qualities by being loving, peaceful, kind, generous, cooperative, and things like that. And yes, image is very much important, which I did have a video talking about how image is important. But just as much as your outer appearance, your fashionable attire, your clothing is your brand, so is your personality, so is your character, so is your approachability. Right. And that's what I encourage you. The same way I encourage you to be with a high valued man, a man who is, his value is high based on his character, how he treats people, how he builds his network with the people around him, how he uplifts the people around him. So not just his earning power, but his character, his wisdom, his knowledge, his network, his availability to resources, his access. All of those things allow him to be a high valued man. And in the same way, how can you be more high valued? And it's not going to be how well you look, because someone could say, oh, well, she's not, awesome from head to toe. That makes her of low value. No, I don't do low vibration here. And in the words of Nelson Mandela, I never lose, right? I either win or I learn. All right. And then let's see here. We got a comment. Act is right. We can see that little potential and effort early on. Yes. And, I want people to realize, especially women, to know that effort goes a long way. You can't just say you want to be in some committed relationship and that you want marriage, but you have to apply a certain level of effort. And that effort is going to require you to be feminine, because most of you saying you're looking for masculine men. However, you're not exhibiting feminine qualities, because a masculine man wants a feminine woman, and you have to exude this feminine qualities. And it's not going to be in just how beautiful you are, because your pretty privilege can only hold you so far. I want you to be beautiful. I want you to be this person that, where this guy is like, wow. But after the wow, after he gets past that, what is he going to see in your mind? How is your mindset? How is it that you view life in the world? How is it that you view him? Do you respect him, or is it that you just respect his wallet? Because that is not enough. And I'm telling you that if you don't know the procedure, if you don't even get the procedure right, and let me give you an example. When it's time for an argument, when there's an argument in your relationship, how are you going to handle it? Are you going to handle it with peace, with tact, or are you going to let your emotions get the best of you? So when you listen to my content, I talk about how to handle these things. I think I did a video last week or the week before that, where I showed on Queen Sugar how Darla handled certain situations, and she did it with tact and femininity. And I'm telling you, if you do these things now and it becomes habit, once you're in that relationship and that conflict arises, how do you handle it? How do you deal with it? Is your voice getting elevated higher and higher until now there's a point of no return? Or are you staying in your center? All right. Another situation is, we talk about trying to think of my word I always like to use. We talk about crossroads, yes. And with crossroads, you can't necessarily wait till you get to that point in time. You start your standards immediately. What are your intentions? What is it that you look for? What is it that you value in a relationship and a partner? And as you continue to fulfill those things that you're saying, those standards that you want, you fulfill them as well, because you're living your best life, living your best self. You can't just expect for someone else to be their best self and you don't put in that same effort. So when you do those things, then when the time comes, you're able to say, okay, well, I told you this earlier, and you don't give ultimatums, because I'm not saying you tell other people to change. You're making the change, and the change is you're saying, I don't allow this, or I will not accept this. This is not what I signed up for. So I'm going to remove myself from the situation. You're not telling them to leave. You're not telling them to do anything. You're making a change. You're ending the relationship. You're not telling them they need to change. Most men are influenced by force. And what I mean by that is, if it's just like with children. If you don't give them something that they want, they're going to realize, okay, well, I can't do this again. So they're not going to keep trying to do it again. Yes, people may try to find other ways, just like children do. But if you tell a guy, this is what I don't want, and either he will say, okay, move, and he will move on, and you guys weren't meant to be, or he realizes the minute that he no longer has access to you, he realized the pain of losing you. He realized the pain of not having you in his life. The consequence and effect of certain situations. And if he loves you, he's going to either want to make that change, or he's going to have to find out to his detriment what that feels like, not having you around. So that's the question. Are you going to give him time to realize what it's like not having you around? And sometimes they may not come back, and you have to accept that. So when you say these things, you can't be bluffing. We don't do ultimatums, and we don't bluff. You say what you mean, and you mean what you say. And sometimes it requires you to leave. All right. We talk about the poker term. Sometimes, you got to let them go, right? You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold, and know when to walk away. And sometimes we don't know when to walk away. I'm not going to play that crossroad video again that I did with Kyle from Living Single, but He had a crossroad moment and he had to walk away. And I encourage men to walk away when women are not in following the program you want. If you're a woman, I encourage you to walk away when a man's not following the program that you've set. And again, these are things that you guys set in the beginning. So this program is something that you guys are both aware of. You're both aware of this because you're not worried about the ambiance, right? You're not worried about where you go on these dates. You're worried about the person's intention, and that's how you're going to find that out. That's the whole significance of a first date, or at least the first 3 dates. Find out what your intentions are. And the only way to do that is to have full conversation and transparency, communication. Once you do this, once you realize what it is that this person value, what is it that they want in a relationship and in each other, that's when you understand what the procedures are. Okay, the procedures are what your deal breakers are, what your standards are, what your preferences are, what you want. And then as you continue to follow them, when someone has a hiccup and they're not following the procedures, they're not following the intentions that they said, what they say and what they do are becoming inconsistent, then you address it. But a lot of times we forget what we've learned. We forget how to have decorum. We forget how to have respect for each other. And so we lose it. Now our emotions get the best of us. And here we are wishing that we never did what we said, or never did the act that we did, right? Or never said what we said, because we can't take words back. We can't take actions back. Once it's done, it's done. We can't change these things. So again, I ask, what's the procedure? What is the procedure? You know the protocol, how to handle situations with tact, how to have decorum. And again, the best way to do this is to set boundaries. The procedure is to set boundaries. There's a limit. There's a difference between patience and tolerance. Tolerance is when you allow things past the time that it needs to be done. So you are pushing through the pain, essentially. That's what tolerance is. You're pushing through the pain. It's gotten to the point that it doesn't hurt as much as it did before, because now you're tolerating it. It's painful, but you're becoming more numb to it. Patience is you're allowing a time and grace period for people to snap out of that habit, for them to change. But that means they have to be applying effort. You have to see that effort in their actions and their words. And if they're not doing those things, then the patience runs out and the relationship has to come to a crossroad. We changing or we're gone? Because if we're changing for the better, then the relationship can continue. But if we're not making this change, the relationship comes to an end. We're at the end of the road and we need to see new people. So if you remember that video that I did on Living Single with Regine, she was with a guy where, her intention was to move the relationship forward. His was to allow it to remain casual. She said, I don't want that, so I'm going to leave. And he said, well, I hope we can be friends, which means he was letting her know nothing's changing on my end. And she made it be known nothing's changing on her end. The true thing is the truth of the fact is a lot of people are in relationships longer than they need to be in. Why? Because just like when he said, let's be friends, you still remain friends, when that really means friends with benefits. He still has access to you, your life, your time, your energy, your heart, your body, your womb. He still has access to these things, and vice versa. You are a man letting a woman that you know is not working for you. You let her have access to you, your seed, your time, your money, your love, your energy, and they don't need to have that access. Cut them off. No, you cannot be friends with people you've slept with. You cannot. No. So move on, right? And let's see, what is numbing yourself can turn into an issue if staying in a sour situation. Best to move on. Yes, it is best to move on, because sometimes when you get numb to a situation, you ignore the signs, the red flags, or you just ignore the fact that they've done these things, hoping that one day they would change. And what we think we have is This is what a lot of women say: I don't want to date potential. But technically that wasn't potential, because potential has some level of fire under it, right? But where was the potential? What potential did you see when they were consistent at being inconsistent? They hit a plateau. There was no potential there. You wanted you were manifesting a change, but faith without work is dead. You can manifest, you can pray, you can hope, you can wish, you can want all you want. But if you don't put in the work, which is properly vetting, followed by action, which is crossroads. So you're putting in the work by properly vetting, getting to know one another. And then you're going to do crossroads as needed and reevaluate the relationship. Where are we? I said you find out what your intentions are in the beginning. When you hit the 3 month, then you evaluate your relationship to see if you guys are serious or you're ready to commit, move forward, be exclusive, boyfriend or girlfriend, have some type of title to know where you are. And yes, I do believe in titles, because if you don't believe in title, if you have a mortgage, go ask for that deed. And if you don't want the deed, go ahead and transfer it to someone else if titles don't matter. Go ahead and get that title of your car and give it away if you don't care about that. Your name on that lease, right? So a lot of times people say titles don't matter, but they only say that when it comes to relationship. But at a job, that title matters to you. In a business partnership, that title matters to you. In a personal or property or real property, that matters to you. So we have to stop pretending like titles don't matter. They do. They matter. You just don't want to give them the title that they're looking for, so you just say no titles, all right? Because you still want access to that person, because you know, just as much as I know, that if you tell them the title that you really want to give them, they're not going to be happy with it. So, transparency is key, but we know in the real world, people are not going to be as transparent, because sometimes being transparent is hurtful. And women do not want the truth in many cases. The truth hurts. How would you like it if a guy said, I do have a title for you and you are my Wednesday girl? How would you feel about that? He just cares a little bit more about you than to hurt your feelings and call you Wednesday girl. But if he gave, zero craps about you, he'd call you that and wouldn't care how you feel about it. Truth be told, if you're just Wednesday girl or weekend girl, and he told you that, rest assured, if he was that brutally honest, he does not care about you. And I'm not saying that men should lie and not tell the truth, but what I'm saying is sometimes as women, we say we want the truth, but the truth hurts, because sometimes men can be brutally honest. Case in point, Kevin Samuels. We thought that Kevin Samuels was brutally honest, and it hurt. Now, I still think that he could have said a lot of things with tact, given his platform, especially to get more women to listen, because a lot of the things that he said was valuable. And it's hard for women to listen when they're faced with a lot of brutal words. The same way men are not going to listen to women who are doing a lot of antagonizing and things like that, because, and like what he likes to call it, guilt and shame. If you go to a woman's channel and that's all you heard, you're not going to want to listen. Well, that's vice versa. So I do think that a man who does truly care is going to say things with love. But this still means that you don't like the truth, because the truth really does hurt. It cuts like a double-edged sword. So I think that if you want to hear the truth, but you want to be able to digest it, I'm going to still give you the truth. Hopefully it's something that you can digest, both men and women. I hope that if your goal is to become more masculine, you will be able to do that, all right? Without getting in your feelings, because it is important to be feminine, especially if you say you want a masculine man. If you are one of the women that's complaining about men being feminine, men not being strong enough, men not being, more masculine, then if your complaint is that you're not around enough masculine men and all the men that you happen to be around or see are feminine, then I would truly look to see if it's because you yourself are masculine. A lot of women who think that they're feminine, they really are masculine. So they are pushing away masculine men because masculine men do not want to be around masculine women. So you feel like you're around feminine men because that's who you're gravitating to. Because feminine energy wants masculine energy. So if you are masculine in your traits as a woman, you're going to get a lot of feminine men. If you are feminine, you're going to garner a lot of masculine men. Whether these men want you in that, they have some level of attraction to you or not, they're just going to be pulled towards you. People in general, especially depending on how your personality is. I've had a lot of men that have approached me, whether they had any interest in me or not. They've exhibited a lot of masculine qualities. And I say this because masculine men and feminine women just want to gravitate. That's all it is a gravitating pull. Let's see here. Yes, Kevin was sharp with the tongue, yet he kept it. I think you meant to say he kept it real. He was definitely not for the weak-hearted because the truth did sting. Yeah, it did. And I've said a lot of things. Now, I still have a lot of disagreements with how he handled situations, of course. But I will say he always did keep it real. Now, in every point, I don't agree with him. But there's a lot of things about femininity, masculinity, relationships that he was honest about. And there are going to be women that did not agree with him. But I will like to say that a lot of women who did not agree with him that were watching him were masculine. Because to be honest, I didn't really watch his channel like that. But a lot of women that did, they exhibited a lot of masculine qualities. And I believe his honesty and his masculinity did scare a lot of women. So I encourage you. Yes, I see you meant real. Yes. So I do encourage you to be feminine if you are a woman. And that doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you can still be assertive, but you care about your womanhood. You are confident in who you are as a woman. You know who you are. You don't need anyone else telling you how strong you are. You don't need to say you're feminist to prove that you're strong and you know what it is that you want. You don't need a man to make you feel like you're somebody. You are who you are, period. And the masculine man compliments you. It doesn't create you. It doesn't make you whole. And I would say the same thing for masculine men. Yes, masculine men want women around, but they are complete, whether they're with a feminine woman or not. But that woman will compliment him. She will love him, respect him, and support him. Marie Tice, hey girl, hey, how you doing? And how you doing, Josh Clark? Thank you for taking the time to join here on Instagram, and all the others who've taken the time to join, but I can't see you. For those who post, that's who I can see. So how are you? So again, what's the procedure? The procedure is how you started out in a relationship. So if you're wondering why your relationship is going one way and it's all over, it's because you either did not have a procedure to follow and you were just, winging it as you go throughout the relationship, or your procedure was out of whack. You guys weren't meshing together. So you guys, there was no transparency. There was no communication. You weren't really even sure what both your intentions were. So you guys were winging it as you go. And then now when things hit the fan, you're like, oh my gosh, what do we do now? There were supposed to be fire drills, but instead now, oh my God, there's an emergency. And now we're all over the place because we don't know the procedure. We don't know what to do. And I'm saying, if you want to know what to do, if you want to find the man of your dreams, if you want to find the woman of your dreams, the first thing you need to do is be the best self that you can be, right? Be the best version of yourself, man or woman. And to do that, you need to get the healing that you need. You need to go through coaching. You can go to mrsdanielledevita.com if you do want coaching. Then you need to properly vet. Again, I have a lot of videos on vetting. Right. And to vet, you need to know what your standards are and what your preferences are. Standards should supersede preferences. Right. And then once you properly vet, then you need to make sure as you go throughout the relationship that, you make sure you're respectful and you're loving and you have tact in everything that you say and do. And then when you hit a crossroad, you know how to handle it. When you hit a conflict, I talked about on my last time about the magic ratio, which is 5-1. So for every negative interaction, it's followed by 5 positive interactions. So again, you're in a dilemma. For every 1 negative interaction, that couple will have 5 positive ones. And usually that particular person or that couple would be married longer. And they've done this study. They will follow the married couple for, over the course of 10 years, I believe, in this study. And it was a trial. It had several married couples. And the ones who had, every time there was a conflict, it was met with several negative interactions. That relationship was likely to lead into divorce, which we hear today is called irreconcilable differences, which means they could not come to an agreement. They could not come to a resolution. And we hear men talk about cooperation. They can't get women to cooperate and be peaceful. And I'm saying there is a way to do that. It's called fighting your battles, knowing what battles to fight and what to leave alone. And sometimes we have a hard time doing that. I've been married for 12 years. I'm telling you, there's a time to speak and there's a time to be quiet. There's a time to know what battles to fight. And all I'm saying is every battle is not worth it, right? Every battle is not worth it. And we both learned that. And I think that the term of the happy wife, happy life kind of thing is not where a man is, not showing his masculinity and his leadership skills. And it's not that he's deferring to women and let her be happy. And then now their life is happy. I think a lot of people misconstrued what that was. The happy wife, happy life is as he properly leads and he has a wife who is properly submitting to him with love and respect. And he's doing what he needs to do. She has no problem following his leadership. She's happy. And therefore, his life will be happy as well. So I do think the whole happy life, happy wife is set by a proper leadership, because women do not mind following someone who leads right. Think about your job as a woman, because we like to say we don't like to lead, but we don't mind being led by the man at work. We don't mind following the pastor at church. But we don't want to follow the man who we have children with, who we sleep with, who we do all these things with. But you have to understand that if he's the person that you feel like he's not worth you doing that, then why are you with him, right? But if you say, this is the man who, everything he says and he does, I know that he means well. He's not going to have me lose my integrity, ethics, and things like that. This is a man where he's going to do right by me. Why would I not want to follow him? Why would I not? Everything he says and does is within love. He elevates me. So in turn, I feel like I want to. It's a privilege to want to respect that man. And this is part of the procedures. Once I learn these are the procedures, I'm going to continue on to that. So now when he gets to a point where he said something or did something that upset me, my habit, the procedure I've been following is have respect in everything I say and do. Okay, now we're at a conflict. I'm not going to provide an ultimatum. We're at a crossroad now. So let's be transparent. Let's communicate. Let's talk about it. And I'm going to stay in my femininity because that's the procedure that I've been following all throughout this relationship. And he's going to remain in his masculinity. And part of that is not him being aggressive. He's also being assertive. I think we confuse what aggressive and assertive is. Assertive is you're still direct and straight to the point, but it's all done with care and tact. And when we do that, then the person can say, okay, I like how he handled this situation. That makes me respect him more. That makes me respect her more. Again, what's the procedure? What's the procedure in your relationship? And I think part of that, you have to be in your masculinity to make sure that there's continuity in your relationship. Just like with business, we talk about business continuity and things like that. It's imperative that a man has strong masculine leadership to make sure there's continuity in cooperation in a relationship. Why? Because the minute she says and does something that's disrespectful, you can say, no, I don't tolerate this. We won't do this in this relationship. You can do what you want, but we won't be in a relationship together. And when he does that, it sets the tone for the whole relationship. Why? Because the procedure now is we have respect in the relationship. And the same thing, vice versa. The minute he says something, the minute he calls you out your name, we don't know. This is not how we speak to each other. I respect you and I respect that in return. If I can't get that, then we have to part ways. You don't have to curse him out, go all crazy, do these things. You command, not demand. You command respect, because demand is using fear and duress and all of those things. But commanding is you saying what it is that you want, not what you are going to force them to do, tell them to do. You're saying what you require to be in a healthy relationship. And if they don't want it, you can move on. But everything you say is with tact. It's stern, but it's with tact. You don't disrespect men, because now what's the likelihood of him going back to respect you, knowing that this is how you speak to him when you're upset, right? So we have to learn to say and do things with love. The same way we are with our children. We're so loving and forgiving and patient. Let's do these things with our men, right? And I'm saying, I know it can be frustrating, both men and women, to be in a situation where there's a conflict and you're like, I'm so sick of this person. But I'm telling you, my husband and I, 12 years, we won't go to bed angry. We stay up, we talk about it, or if we do need to sleep on it and go to sleep, we say, you know what? I can't talk about it right now. I'll talk about it tomorrow, but I do want you to know I love you. We have to end on a good note. You don't know when you'll see these people again. You don't know if that'll be the last conversation you have. Try to make a habit of thinking, what would life be like without them? If you can imagine it without them, then maybe you shouldn't be with them. But if you can't imagine it without them, try to make sure that the things that you say is full of love. That way, they're more receptive to hearing what it is you have to say, right? I think we have, let's see, what did you say? Absolutely. No man can validate a woman and vice versa. It begins with self. Yes. It is important to be the best version of yourself, because how is it that you can expect for someone to pour into you? You can't pour into them. Speaking of that, that reminds me of the TD Jakes comment that he was making, where a lot of people were going crazy over, a lot of women were going crazy over that. So I think I'll play that, because we talk about how men should pour into women, but I think it needs to be both ways. Women should pour into men. And sometimes it's hard to pour into each other when you don't have anything. That's why it's important that before you date, you get yourself together. You get the healing you need, the coaching you need, so you can be filled up. You can be the best version of yourself, so you can pour into this man and he can pour into you. You shouldn't be doing all the pouring. So if you're pouring into a man, he doesn't pour back into you, but you're still pouring into him, it's poor vetting procedures. And I've done a whole series on vetting. I'm actually still trying to rewrite this book on vetting, right? And I have this book coming out for men. So it's called Command the Respect Command Respect from the Woman You Want. And there's a way to do that. There's procedures to follow. And then the book I have with the women, Girl, Go Get Your Husband. And there's procedures you have to follow to get your husband. Starting off by being the wife you need to be. You can start now, even before being a wife, showing that you can be a wife. Again, not wife duties, but wife qualities. There's qualities you can exhibit through your attitude to show that you're wife-like, right? Loving, supportive, gentle, respectful, kind, right? And nothing is wrong with being assertive and being feminine. So let me see if I can get that video with TD Jakes. I don't think I'm going to play the whole video. But I do like it because he talked about pouring into someone, and if you don't, and a lot of men sometimes they may not have enough in themselves to pour into. So let me just play that video. If you're on Instagram, you can hear it, but you cannot see it, and I apologize for that because there's the Instagram is not linking with StreamYard, so that's why I also have the two cameras and my eyes are shifting from camera to camera. So let's play it.
It's gonna be rough this morning, bro. Yeah. Real men are not a deficit. Real men are an asset. They pour in. We were not designed to receive from women. Your self-esteem is compromised when you have to ask your wife for lunch money. I'm not saying you got to be rich. I'm not saying you got to be famous. I'm saying that you have got to be the one who pours in, not the one who takes out. Women, be careful about pouring too much into us. We are designed to pour into you. And you are designed to take what we pour into you and increase it and make it better. You increase it, you appreciate it, and you multiply it. This breaks all sociological orders of the culture we're living in now, because we are raising up women to be men. And you are not applauded for your femininity. You are applauded in the contemporary society by how tough, rough, nasty, mean, aggressive, hateful, possessive you are, and you are climbing the corporate ladder, but we are losing our families. I know you can buy your own car. I know you can buy your own house, but until you create a need that I can pour into, I have no place in your life. So stop coming home bragging to me about how much you don't need me and wonder why I shy away.
So we listened to TD Jakes, and that's what the whole video was. I actually played a lot longer than the clip they showed, because the clip they showed was just, women are, this and that. And then they just had a whole comment section about why is he talking about women and not about men. But it was a Father's Day special, and he was actually talking about men and how men need to pour into women. And he had it was about an hour and a half long, or the video was over an hour, I believe. And then he talked about how why men may not have enough to pour into them because no one poured into them, and this and that, and how you can look for Jesus and things like that to fill you up so you can have something to pour, right? So he did talk about how men need to be, but he also spoke about how women need to be. And we're living in a society today that when we talk about what women should do, how women should be more feminine, how women should care more about family and not just work, right? Put the whole picture, be more balanced. When we talk about all these things, then they say, well, what about the men? You're telling us not to be masculine. What about men who are feminine? And then when we talk about what men should do, then it's vice versa. Oh, well, why are you not talking about the women? And I think that we need to hold ourselves accountable for our own actions, right? And we need to get better, be the best version of ourselves. Because when you're better, you tend to see the world a little bit differently. Sometimes when you're bitter, when you're upset about the cards that have been dealt, the people that have been in your life that you've allowed to stay longer than they should, then you get a little bit resentful and bitter, and it comes out. It shows in so many ways, and it shows in your actions. It shows in your speech. And then we get to this point where we are hating our men and women. And a lot of times women they believe that it's men, it's black men. Like black men are somewhat different than other men. No, it's men and women. right? Because we hear about so many women saying our Black men are not leaders. But if you feel that way, if you truly feel that way, it might be because you don't want to be led. You don't want a Black man to lead. You want the white man to lead you. And I hate to say it like that, but I have to, because we keep saying Black men can't lead, Black men. No, that I don't think that's the case. I think that sometimes we're exhibiting so many masculine qualities that we just can't be led. And we think it's Black men that's the problem. And then we hear things that are Black men saying that it's all about Black women. It's only Black women who are aggressive, Black women who are this, Black women who are that. When that's that, like, you do realize that the feminist movement was created by white women, right? So all white women are not feminine. Most of them are feminists in this day and age, in the society in which we're living in. Right? So we have to understand and have a full balanced picture. There are great men and women out here, both Black and non-Black. But if you're filled with in a world, if you feel like you're filled in a world full of Dusties, then you have to consider, are you a Dusty? If everybody that's around you is Dusty, if everyone around you is trifling, there's no one who's good but you. Consider yourself as the common denominator. So again, what's the procedure? Do you even have a procedure that you're following? If not, try my vetting process. I have videos on vetting. Men, the vetting process is going to be a little bit different. So the process would be for everyone to make sure that you look at standards more so than preferences, right? Standards are things that are about, your faith, what you believe in, what it is, how you feel about money, life, politics, how you view the world, right? These standards are what you value in a partner, what you value in a relationship, what your intentions are. All of these things are standards. What are your deal breakers? What are your, moral and ethical beliefs, your values about family? All of these things are standards. Yes, you want someone attractive, but you do want to make sure the standards fit, because what good does it have to have this hot guy or this good looking lady and they don't have the personality to match, or you guys have nothing in common? So you want both. So when we talk about, when you hear on social media, he's an 8 or she's an 8, 9, or 10, I think we should look at the whole package, not just the beauty, but we should look at the fact that how they look and their mindset and the things that come out their mouth, are they synonymous? And that is the package. That truly is the package. How are they as a whole? Because if we can't do that, we're probably not going to have this happy, healthy, and cohesive relationship, because all we were looking at was the wallet, the abs, the body parts, right? The physique and the booty. And we have to look beyond that. We're too mature to be looking at trivial things. These are too insignificant for someone that you say you want to spend the rest of your life with. And this is whether it's being married to them or having children with them. Because essentially, if you have a child, you're still spending darn near the rest of your life. You're still connected somehow. Because with marriage, you can get a divorce and may not see them again. So it's more detrimental having children with them. But we have children like it's better than getting married. You're locked in forever having a child versus marriage. So again, what's the procedure? Do you have a procedure in place? Because you want continuity in your relationship. You don't want to be like the people who never was in a fire drill, and when a fire comes, they are running around like a chicken with their head cut off. You don't want that. So if you're a man, you want her to follow your program, and you set the tone of what your program is early on. And again, we're not talking about tyranny, because if you're asking for submission, it should be a form of respect. And it means that the integrity is still intact. Your morals, values, and those things are still intact. You're still doing things legal. You're not a tyrant. So we're not talking about that. We're talking about positive male leadership. Let's see. TD Molly Savage Digital. TD mentioned that women these days are being applauded for their masculine tendencies and not for their femininity. Definitely true, but not to leave out how society and propaganda are demasculating men. Yes, I do believe that, but I want to go even further than that. And a lot of women may not like me right now for saying this, but I do believe it's the truth. A lot of times as women, and I'm only speaking about the women who are saying that that Black men cannot lead, because we're hearing that term often, that phrase, Black men cannot lead. That's what we're hearing. I don't agree with it. But what I am saying is we're hearing where women are saying that, yet they will have children and feminize the boys and over-sexualize the daughters. And how are we doing that? We're teaching our young boys how to twerk. We're teaching boys how to dance, and we're letting boys watch, us as mothers twerk, or boys are watching us do certain things, right? So they are watching us. We're feminizing them through our actions or what we're allowing them to do or have those tendencies, right? And then we have them, if they have daughters, we're teaching them to be, overly mature, beyond their age, what they should be doing, the things that they're saying with attitude. We're laughing like that's cute and that's okay, putting them on makeup and doing all this extra stuff. No. And we're saying that men can't lead. But if you are in a single household and this is what you're doing, you can't lead either. You're not properly leading as the woman of the house. If you're just, if you're a single woman, you're not properly leading the way your child should go. So again, we have to make sure that we don't discount the men who are trying to lead. But I'm going to give you one more video before I go here, because a lot of women like to be led like this. We like to say we want men who are loving and kind and lead in a good way. But I'm going to show you where a guy has to change his leadership styles. This is on a show, All of Us. And Dwayne Martin played this guy, and he was he had a ex-wife who I believe she is a masculine woman. His fiance is a feminine woman, and you'll see where Tia is feminine and Niecy, which is played by Lisa Ray, is masculine. And so he's more of a mild-mannered guy, and she respects him, the fiance. But the wife only respects him when he has more of a more stern masculine tone. And I'm going to play this because this is where a lot of our women are doing. This is what they want. When women say he can't handle me, this is because they want a man to do this all the time. Talk to them like this. And it's coming. Let me find it. I know it's here. Give me a second. Oh, here we go. You can hear it, but you can't see it. Instagram.
Hey, look, Niecy, we just want to thank you.
Look, before y'all get all sentimental and whatnot and start thanking me, just know it ain't even about you. I did it for Bobby.
But we still appreciate you.
Bring the volume down to 0.
Look, Niecy, I think what we're trying to say is, had we known the profile was going to turn out the way it did, we would have never agreed to be in it.
Thank you, Tia.
But that's what I was trying to say. Why you going? That ain't.
Shut it down, brother man. Shut it down.
Wait a minute, woman. Just wanted to see if I still had it.
And so the reason why I played this clip is because we see that the Dwayne Martin character is a mild-mannered guy, and his fiance is mild-mannered as well. So he doesn't have to really elevate his voice to get his point across with her. They talk and they converse in a mature, adult-like situation. But Niecy, which is the Lisa Ray character, she is a little bit belligerent and disrespectful, right? And he has to set a tone, which is a crossroad. Wait a minute. like, you're not going to talk to me like this. And this is how you would continue on the conversation if this is a real life scenario for you. But he had to tell her pretty much, whoa, hold up. Because how she was talking, how she was acting. And this is what sometimes these women want. A masculine woman, when they say a man is feminine, it's because she's too masculine. And this is what she's looking for, this type of man, which is why you see these type of women going for the street dude. Because these dudes would talk the same way Dwayne Martin character did. Like, hold up. They'll check a woman quickly. And that's what they want. They want a thrill. They want a bad boy, the street boy, who would do something like this. But how sad is it that you have to be led in that way? All right. So that is all I have for you. I do appreciate you taking time to listen to my content throughout this whole hour here. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you are on YouTube, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, you can hit the follow button to learn more about my content. You can also go to MrsDanielleDeVita.com. I also do content on the Philip Scott Show, which I'll be posting up some more very soon. So again, thanks for tuning in, and you all have a great night. All right. Take care now. Mrs. Danielle DeVita back with another video. I overheard someone say that marriage is overrated. A lot of women say, I like the strong silent type. Well, a lot of men like the feminine silent type. And for sure, it's going down. So a lot of times people are not getting the when to speak and when to be quiet is one of the most powerful. She's going to be aggressive, thinking that. And as someone who's been married for 12 years, she's driven, not lazy. And this will make yourself and get on the right path. That understand that you might be doing a disservice to your daughter if you don't help her understand vetting and proper decision making. Now she's going to be a basket case later. If you don't help her understand emotional intelligence, she's going to hold on to a lot of emotional baggage. If you don't. We live in a world where femininity, marriages, family, and courting is no longer valued. We live in hookup culture, situationships, and struggle love. The number one reason women struggle in long-term relationships, number one, femininity, and number two, staying in a relationship or entertaining people longer than the woman should. My name is Danielle DeVita, and I'm a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 12 years, and I want to help you get on your feminine journey and vet for the right man today. For more of my content, you can visit MrsDanielleDeVita.com, or you can go to YouTube, Instagram, or my Facebook page. Get on your feminine journey today.